All right. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning. I think that is the other time of the day. It's morning, afternoon, and evening, wherever you are in the globe. The back five. I mean, back four tonight. We're just waiting on another panelist. But in the meantime, I am Glenwyn Guna Matters, standing in for Alex from Canon Fodder. Below me is Apollo from Arsenal 101 or 101 Arsenal. There
What's
you
good,
are.
people? Yeah, what's happening, everybody? Good to see you on a
And
Monday
and
night,
of
man.
course, Glenn Knightley from Kitely, right?
Yeah,
From Everything Arsenal. So how you guys
that's
been?
correct. Being good, being good.
Yeah, been good. I've been. It's always fun, isn't it? International weekend. You've got no footballs. You can try to do other things. Believe me, you guys know I've got another channel where I do movie reviews, and I saw that film, The Creator, with Denzel Washington's son. Up to now, I'm still waiting to do a review on it. So that's my week.
I actually don't mind international breaks just because of that exact reason you've said. You can actually do other things.
You can, yeah. I mean, I watched rugby. I watched rugby yesterday between France and South Africa, and our South African team won just by 1 point. What a game it was! Not sure if you
Yep,
guys
same
watch
is.
rugby.
Yeah, of
Yeah,
course.
so
I do.
we getting England in the semifinals. Yeah, that's gonna be a
Yeah,
tough
I used
one.
to watch rugby a lot when I was younger, but once I got into American football, my whole life changed. So, and I don't do rugby anymore.
Yeah, no, I mean cricket is also tomorrow. South Africa's playing cricket as well against I can't remember who it was, but we're playing tomorrow. So I'm on leave and I still have sports to watch, unlike you guys.
Shout out to Emerson in the chat room. Shout out to Cam 101 Massive. What's going on, everybody, man?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. All right. So let's go into our first segment of the evening. It's pretty much as we said. It's the PGMOL. It's a hell of a thing. Let's go to you first, Glenn. Um, there's so many things happening in the PGMOL and also the mistakes that the guys make. And I'm gonna go to the next slide just for reference is all I've just put those ones up, all the mistakes that they've made and the things that they sort of didn't correct in the game. So off you go, Glenn. What is your take on the PGMOL and all the mistakes that they sort of make in a game?
So first of all, let me make one thing clear. I don't want VR to go anywhere. I do think VR does help the game. Like I don't want to go back to the stage or the ages. Yes, obviously celebrating the goals and everything like that. We want it to be like that. But in terms of the kind of mistakes they used to make were worse when you didn't have VR. Like I remember, I think we went to Old Trafford. I think it was a 2-2 game. And an Aubameyang goal was disallowed. And if it was not for VR, it would have been disallowed. And he was miles onside. Like I remember a situation like that. And I'm like, no, we need VR in the game. So at the moment, definitely terrible mistakes. Like these days, I literally do not know what a penalty is. I do not know what a handball is. I do not know what's supposed to be a free kick or it's not. And that is my problem. So literally, we've been watching football for decades and decades, and someone handles the ball in the box, and all of us football fans are like looking at each other like, okay, is that a penalty? Is it not? Like it's supposed to be right
course,
away. Like that is a penalty because they've complicated everything. I think the last 5 to 10 seasons, they've changed the rules like every single season. There's a season where they had like, if someone handles the ball like 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 15 seconds before a goal, I think it was given. And then the next season, it was disallowed. Like the changing of rules every single time, terrible. So I think they need to, before the start of next season or maybe January or something, I think they have to do it at the start of next season. Like give everyone the rules. Tell us like what a penalty is, what a penalty isn't, what a foul is, what's supposed to be a red card, what's not supposed to be a yellow card, and obviously change the language as well. Like saying check complete is not enough. You need to say check complete, it is a penalty. Check complete, it is a foul. Check complete, it is supposed to be a red card. Just small things. And I think small things like that, it kind of comes out as ignorance because just adding 2 or 3 words after check complete will made the situation much, much better. So for me, the Curtis Jones one, the Curtis Jones red card, it is supposed to be a red card for me, but so is the Kovacic one, and there was a third one as well. I think all of them are supposed to be red cards. The Malogast one as well, I think it's supposed to be a red card personally, but that applies to all 3 of them. So that is in the inconsistency I'm talking about. Like today it is, tomorrow it isn't. Yes, every single team gets gets a decision going the other way wrongly throughout the season. I remember Brighton last season, Arsenal last season. Many teams usually have the decisions going the wrong way, but I think it's just a matter of changing the language and giving the people the rules. Let us know, like us football fans, we don't even know what a penalty is. Like that's a massive problem. So give us the rules. Maybe go the same way as the other leagues, because other leagues don't usually complicate things as much as the Premier League. So
Yeah.
I think it would be better. Like if you see how efficiently and how easily, like even the MLS, a league that people don't even watch that often, like the way the VAR conducts the refereeing and stuff, very easy, and within a minute the decision is made. Even if it means like you adapt the NBA and the tennis kind of rules, or I think it is baseball. There's one that you can hear the referee talking or the VAR talking to the referee, or whatever. Like all of them, like just
rugby as well, yeah.
Rugby as well, like adapt that as well. Maybe once in a while, and then the fans maybe you'll have whenever a mistake happens, maybe we know what has happened, and maybe people will learn how to forgive from that point on. But at the moment, I do understand why the fans are angry, because tomorrow the decision goes your way, the next week the decision doesn't go your way. Tomorrow you don't get a penalty, the very next day you see another foul similar, they do get the penalty. So that is frustrating.
Apollo, you touched on a bit of what I wanted to ask you, is that what changes should you think the PGMOL and VAR should bring in for games like, I mean, the Liverpool and Spurs game, as you can see in the right-hand corner there. That guy is onside miles. I mean, and they disallowed the goal. I mean, on the field, it was I think it was given, but VAR said no, it's offside, but they didn't draw the line. So, what, in your opinion, think that should change in those two entities?
So there's quite a lot for me. But first of all, shout out to Glenn because he just talked to you about his moment. My moment would be 2001, 22 years ago, when Hancho from Liverpool in the Arsenal versus Liverpool FA Cup final in 2001, when he handballed Thierry Henry's shot and
Yeah, I
prevented
remember
Arsenal
that
from
one.
scoring. If we had VAR, we probably would have, it was 2 late goals from Michael Owen, but we probably would have won that FA Cup. It would have been a different game. But in my opinion, there's quite a few things that need to change here. You guys know I'm a big fan of American sports, NFL, NBA basketball, and video. Instant replays, as they call it, the instant replays, been there for a long time. And my stance has always been VAR. There's nothing wrong with VAR at all. VAR has improved the game. The problem is the officiators. That's the problem. So what I would change in the game would be a variety of things. Actually, for me, the first thing would be, let's get them mic'd up.
Yeah.
Let's hear the communication between all parties. Each iteration of VAR, as I said, where the officials can explain their reasons behind the decisions. For me, that's a simple answer. You get that again in American football. When the play stops, the referee comes out, he has the microphone kitted, and he'll tell you what the infringements were, what the issue was, and he'll tell you which was the player that did it. As far as the other reason, I think what would help is if you could challenge. If each team had one challenge per half, where something happened and they didn't put it to VAR, and a manager was allowed to throw a flag and challenge what happened in that instance, that's what I think would be fair. Yeah. So that's another thing that I would put in it. And the other thing would be, and this might be very controversial, but again, American sports dominates the sport range and they do it properly. The reason is because they have more officials. They just do. In our sport, we have the referee, linesman, fourth official.
Yeah.
In an American football game, they have a referee, they have an umpire, they have a line judge, side judge, down judge, a back judge, a field judge, and a replay official. So they have 8. So let me repeat, they have double the amount of officials working on a single game than we do.
Yeah.
So they just have
That's
more
massive,
eyes.
yeah?
Yeah. But it's good. It's good for the game because when a referee thinks that he has not seen something, you normally see them 2 or 3 crowd around each other. They'll have a little chat. It's no longer than 5 seconds, just to make sure one person has seen something that they saw, And then the umpire, that remember I talked about line judge, referee, umpire, there's various officials, but the umpire then has the final say after he's spoken to what everybody else has seen, and then he'll make the call. That is
Mm.
fair. That's as fair can be. So that would be the right thing for me. I mean, let's remember this, guys. 92% of the decisions the referees make are fair. So there's 8% where they need help. And I think that all these different things I talked about are the ones that can offer various help. But I do
Yeah.
want to also say one thing that's important as well. You guys know I'm a big Formula One fan. Love my F1. Shout out to Lewis Hamilton and all those guys who follow him in that sport and what he's done for the sports as well. And what they did, they had these problems too, where officials were almost bought and paid for. And they did two things. Number one, they brought ex Formula One drivers into the fray to make decisions in as head stewards.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, in football, you could use ex failed footballers, guys who was trying to make a career in football, who know the game. You can use them and put them on the VAR panels because they know the game. Um, Look, a lot of the officials that we have seen now are failed footballers. A lot of
Mm.
people, even managers we've seen now, like Arsene Wenger. What was he? He was a failed
Real
footballer.
footballer, yeah.
Yeah. So there is space and time. We got a lot of these guys. You remember, you finish your playing career in your late 30s. There's thousands of these people sitting at home doing nothing.
Yeah.
Why not create the environment to ensure that we have more eyes, more professional eyes that are watching the sports?
But
So
isn't that down to the rules of being subjective or objective for that matter? But mostly they call that the rules are objective. So perception of that subjectivity is probably causing the problem, because I see the rules, it's yellow, but Glenn sees the rules as black and white, and that's that. So that could also become a problem if you don't understand the rules of the law, the football rules, as it should be per se.
yeah, I think, as I said, that in American football, you have a referee, you have a line judge, you have a field judge, back judge, and all these guys, but you have an umpire. You have a guy who sits above all. And in our sport, we have, how much have we got? We've got 16 referees in the Premier League. We've got space to hire some more. And a lot of people don't know this. The only reason why we don't have more referees is because the European referees don't want to come over and referee in our league. A lot of that is down to Brexit. A lot of that is
Yeah.
because it's just not worth them, tax-wise, monetary-wise, visa-wise. It's just not worth them coming over here. So for
But
me,
that's a good idea, because I made a video. Sorry, Paul. I made a video the other day about this, and I said we have the best league in the world. We've got the most watched league in the world. We've got the best players in the world. Why can't we have the best referees in the world? I mean,
exactly.
every club has a transfer method. Why can't the PGMOL have that transfer method as well? I mean, that should work, especially with the amount of money influx that's in that entity. I mean, that should be an option at least to get in the best.
Yeah, I mean, if you take someone like Howard Webb, he retired in 2014. He did some broadcasting with BT Sports. We call it TNT now here in the
Yeah,
UK. It's probably the
I
same for
saw.
you
Yeah,
guys over there. But what on earth was he doing working for BT Sports when he should have been working for the? I mean, he is now. From last year summer, he joined
the
the
PGMOL.
that's right. Yeah. But why has it taken 7 years for him to retire? And then actually, so he's wasted 7 years sitting in the studio on a television channel doing what he actually should have been doing for the sport. So
Exactly.
it's little things like that, which is just the wrong decision. Look, there's two linesmen. There's no problem. There's two linesmen on the pitch. There's no issues with us having 2 or 3 referees. No issues with it whatsoever.
I'm going to the next slide quickly, and this is particularly based on our game on Sunday against Manchester City last week, Glenn. And here's just in a nutshell where Webb is saying that he believes that guy is a very, very fortunate guy. But he also make mention of the referee that should have probably given him a second yellow, being the best. Now, if Michael Oliver is one of the best. He mentioned there best in the world and best in the Premier League. Not the best, one of the best. Let me rephrase that just now. I get also contacted by. Did you hear about Terry that got contacted by his officials? That said something. Howard Webb said this, and it wasn't the case. But nonetheless, I don't know if you know Terry from the Football Terrace. He was
Oh
contacted
right,
by the.
yeah.
Yeah, nonetheless. So Glenn, in a nutshell, he says that Michael Oliver is one of the best in the world in the Premier League. If that is the standard, what do we expect then from the young referees coming up? I mean, it is pathetic to say the least.
Yeah, it's terrible, and I do actually think he's the best in terms of levels. Him and Anthony Taylor having like officiated in the UEFA games and the FIFA games as well, the World Cups. They're supposed to be very experienced. Yes, he's still one of the youngest, but he's been there for quite a while. I've been seeing him for quite a while, like since the likes of Howard Webb retired and Mike Dean retired, and I think it was Lee Mason retired. Now we have people like Michael Oliver, like he's been there. He gets picked for finals, for big events and all that. So he's definitely supposed to be the best. He did say something about Michael Oliver not wanting to ruin the game. I watched that Howard Webb with Michael Owen, and he said something about Michael Oliver not wanting to ruin the game. But a red card is a red card. I don't believe in terms of like ruining the game. Like you forgave him the first time. The second time is supposed to be. I'd understand if that was a reason for the first foul. But the second foul, no, there's no about ruining the game. And that is the same Michael Oliver, as you've seen going around on X. The same Michael Oliver who gave Martinelli 2 yellow cards for basically
in 7 seconds.
in 7 seconds against Wolves a couple of years ago. So I don't understand in terms of ruining the game. So definitely it's a worry. Like if you have the best referee afraid to make decisions, it's a worry. So you spoke about younger referees. I actually would like a couple of younger referees to be promoted, the ones in the championship and stuff, the ones who are hungry and ready to go. So give them an opportunity, because as Paula said, we have the same 16 referees. And how many of them would you say like this one? He's never really made any mistakes, or if he has one or two, he's really, really good. I don't think there's any, like if you say something about Anthony Taylor, a Southampton fan will say something, a Leeds fan will say something. If you say something about Michael Oliver, 3 or 4 teams will say, I'm not happy with this and I'm not happy with this.
Yeah.
And so bring up the younger ones, or 2 or 3 of them. But then again, they'll be learning from the likes of Michael Oliver. So that's
exactly
also,
that's the standard that I'm talking about. So if that standard has been said, I mean, a lot of Liverpool fans will say a lot about Anthony Taylor because of the history that the club shares with Anthony Taylor and the not mistakes, but they would say the things that he caused them to lose either the games or draw games. So the standard, the ceiling is very, very low. And then Apollo, Howard Webb is suggesting some sort of change to the rules of VAR. Do you think this? I mean, also Glenn said earlier on, maybe from January onwards, or even in the summer, they should look at real change of the VAR system. Do you think that is something that Howard Webb has the cojones to change at least?
Yeah, I do. I mean, look, we have to be realistic with this sport. There's too much money in the game to get it wrong. There's just too much money in the game. And the second thing is they know that they need help. VAR is here not to take over the game, but to help and assist. That's what it's there for. And it's then down to the officials to do what they can with the technology. After what we've seen, we know that they're already trialing having the microphones being mic'd up. They're already trialing that in various countries, and in women's football. They're trialing this already. So that tells us that they're already on the case. They already have these things to come through to tell us that they're ready to help and assist us. But for me, it's their concerns should not be a concern. And their concerns is they're worried about it contradicting the referee's authority. That's what they're worried about. But the flip side of not having it is right now we're having these discussions on a Monday morning after the weekend's games, and the referees look stupid anyway, because you've not only have you made a mistake, but even with video evidence, you're still making a mistake. So the fact is your authority as a referee and official is already being contradicted.
Yeah.
So you've lost all respect and power that you had anyway, because you essentially are costing the game. You're costing team points, and I have to reiterate this as well. The draw against the loss against Liverpool and Spurs that Liverpool suffered 2 years ago. They lost the Premier League title to Man City by 1 point.
Yeah.
One
And
point.
that cost them.
Yeah. Arsenal had Brentford that came to the Emirates Stadium yesterday. They didn't draw the line. They gave Brentford the goal, and that cost Arsenal 2 points. Now, if obviously we lost the league by 5 points, but had we beaten Man City in just one of those games, that would have been a 3 point swings. And had that Brentford game gone 3 points to Arsenal, then you would have been all evens. So look, like I said, the officials have to understand the technology is there to help and assist them. And right now, they need both. They need
Yeah.
assistance. They need more officiators doing the job. They need better people. But for me, as I said, I would definitely incorporate a challenge system. Maybe one challenge per game a manager has, because if you give them too much, then you don't want it to interrupt the game. But I believe that a manager should have a red flag, like in American football, where if he wants to, if something happens on the pitch and it's either not looked at or it's not gone to VAR, you have the right to throw your flag and challenge.
Yeah. Like in cricket, they have the captain, the bowler, and also the wicket keeper. So
Yeah,
if the bowler feels there is a foul or a wicket, for argument's sake, and the umpire has said no, it's not a wicket, they have a right to go and review
yeah.
that play.
Right.
And I
We
mean,
have no right. We have no
yeah,
right in
we
football.
don't
There's
have.
no.
So
Yeah.
that's a good point. Whereas either the captain on the pitch, which is probably your best option, he gets a okay from Mikel Arteta and say ask for that review, or ask for that thing to go to VAR. I mean, it's a good idea,
Yeah.
because it will also. But the only downside of all these things is the extra time that will that will be added to these games. That is the
Yeah.
only downside to it.
And again, if you've taken it from someone like me who follows American sports, for me, that's just an excuse for poor quality from a lot of fans. From a lot of fans, by the way, who were not aware of how things are done around the rest of the world and in
Yeah.
various other sports. Because in order to get it right, I mean, I remember when VAR first came and everyone said, oh, well, slow the game down. I don't hear a single person talking about that right now. It's
Yeah,
just part of the game because we've adapted to it. And not just that, but they've sped up the process. It's a little bit frustrating because some stadiums tell you when things are going to VAR and other stadiums don't. Like,
it's the
I'll
inconsistency. Yeah.
yeah, I'll be sitting in the Emirates and I'll be like, shouldn't VAR look at that? I don't know. And then I'll go on Sky Sports and say it was checked by VAR. Well, we didn't know in the stadium.
Yeah.
We had no idea. We had no idea who was being checked. You know, little things like that. It's just we need to get better at it.
Yeah, Emerson. Sorry, Glenn. Emerson is also agreeing there. Spot on, Apollo, about the manager should have an appeal decision to during games. Sorry, Glenn. You can go. Rick.
The things you're saying about challenges, come to think of it, like even tennis have challenges, even NBA have challenges. Like, and in some of those sports, like if you win the challenge, you actually retain the challenge.
Yeah.
So like things like that. I don't think it would take too much time, an extra 2
No, it
minutes.
shouldn't.
I don't think there's a difference between adding 6 minutes and 8 minutes, really. As long as you come to the correct decision and don't disallow a goal that is supposed to be a goal, I think that is totally fine, even if you have a game extra 10 minutes.
And actually, Glenn, I want to say on top of that, if you've been to an Arsenal game, you know, like I have, and you see that something is being reviewed, it's part of the drama, it's part of the tension. Is it a penalty? Isn't it a penalty? It's like they're holding you on a piece of a string, and that's great for TV. It's great for the viewers.
It's like the edge of the seat moments.
Yeah, that's right. It's just added drama, and why do we love football? Because of all the drama and all the
drama,
stuff,
correct.
The politics and the opinions that go with it. So it's actually something that's good for the sport.
Before we go to our next segment, I just want to end this off the PGMOL and VAR with a statement bar question sort of thing. And then one of the best in the PL is mistakes costs us. And it's not just the one game against Man City this season. I think the season, it was also him that gave a red card to Granit Xhaka where Granit Xhaka went in with a two-footed challenge. Understand that it's a red card, but in that stage, couldn't you also think of, we don't want to sort of, spoil the game if you wanna just refer back to his statement. But yeah, those are mistakes that cost our game. And you mentioned it earlier on, the Brentford game, 2001 FA Cup. Glenn
Well,
mentioned it.
this season, look at Fulham. Odegaard was fouled on that goal. On
Yeah,
this first goal, Odegaard was fouled. Referee didn't see it. If we had the right to challenge, Arteta would have thrown his red flag. They would have looked at it again and saw that I think it was Polina. He fouled Odegaard, and
Odegaard.
then it went straight down. When we went to Old Trafford last year, and Martinelli scored the first
Odegaard
goal.
apparently fouled
Odegaard apparently
Eriksen.
fouled. They looked at that VAR and they took the goal away. So
Yeah.
look, it just makes sense to me. It makes.
I have a question for both of you guys.
Yeah.
Like, they usually don't review yellow cards. Do you think they should start reviewing yellow cards? Like for this one, for example, the Kovacic one is on a yellow card. Apparently, the VAR cannot review the second challenge because it's on a yellow card.
I think when it comes to, from my point of view, when it comes to a challenge like that, you need to have that option for VAR to say, hey, Michael, I think you should just look at it again. Maybe not expose it to everybody, but in his ear, you have to have that option from a perspective of say, Michael, I think you've made a wrong decision there. You need to look at that again and review it.
I agree with Glenman because guys, let's put this into perspective here. We are VAR administrators. Our job is to double check things in the studio.
Correct.
How many times in a game are you going to be used? I could count that on one hand. So you may be called into question 5 times to look at events in a game. So if something happens like a yellow card, then look at it. The worst thing you could say is, referee, yes, I found something here. I need you to go to the monitors. I think we have to look at this. That's it.
Yeah.
That's simple.
That should be your job because, I mean, I can't get involved with it, but I can refer you to an incident and say, you gave a yellow card, but just go and check it again.
Yeah. Because you're not doing that. You're not doing that much in 90 minutes. You're practically making 3, 4, maybe 5 decisions if you're sitting in the video evidence booth. So it's not like you haven't got the time to do it. You have plenty of time to do it.
You've got plenty of time. So we're going to go into our next segment just for a stat purpose. And I'm thinking, Apollo, you could maybe go look it up as you love stats. Apparently, Arsenal, since the VAR induction, Arsenal had the most incorrect decisions against them. VAR decisions. You can go look that up. That's something that I've seen somewhere. I can't remember where. Let's go into.
I can touch on that. There is something called the VAR table, and Arsenal are predominant 2 teams every season in regards to that. It's called. I'll try and see if I can pull it up now, but it's called the VAR table, and it's basically points teams have lost through poor VAR decisions. As we talk, I'm trying to look it up. So carry on. I'll see if I can find it.
Okay, cool. So Champions League group stages. Glenn, while Apollo's going there, it doesn't look. It's 2 games in, but it doesn't look very good in this stage. Look, we still have to play Sevilla, and we still have to obviously get all those free run fixtures. Do you think, honestly, are we gonna be from the first 2 teams that's gonna go through to the next round? Because I'm still looking at the different picture here.
I mean, you're not alone. You're not alone. I've been thinking about the last couple of weeks. I think that Lens game was the kind of it brought us back down to earth because that is a game I definitely expected us to win. I mean, I had said some people are expecting like Arsenal will win all 6 games in the group. Nah, I never say that. I said we are going to win 4, draw 1, and potentially lose 1. Like, I'd not be surprised like if we lost to PSV or lost to Sevilla away or drew one of those games. And actually, no problem with that. Even if you win 4, draw 1, lose 1, that is totally fine. Even if you win 4 and lose 2 and you still finish top with 12 points, absolutely fine. I mean, you don't lose games like that constantly, but I mean, that's still good because Champions League, you have to respect all the teams that are there. But that Lens defeat, Obviously, we are already lucky that Sevilla and PSV drew their game. Otherwise, we would have been third or something. So that Lens defeat brought us back down to earth, because now we are going to Sevilla next. Like, if we lose that game, then it becomes a huge problem. We already have to win all our home games. We've won one. We need to win all three of them. And
Yeah.
I would have said, if you had beaten Lens, I would have said go to Sevilla, try and get a draw, go to PSV, try and get a draw. But going to Sevilla now, I think it's a must not lose game. I would kind of take a draw, but all of a sudden, if Lens beat PSV, then they're like 3 or 4 points ahead of us right away. But I would still bank on us to beat them at home when we face them on match day 5. So it is very tricky. I'm kind of like you. I'm not 100% certain we'll go through. I'm like, hey, I need to see that Sevilla game first. And good thing is that yeah, good thing the likes of Saka coming back. He didn't play the full game against Lens. Partey's not there, so hopefully that does help us. We are very good away from home recently, so we need to go to Sevilla and go to PSV and show that we are very good away from home. I don't want to.
You sound like a Manchester City fan there. We didn't have Saka. We didn't. We didn't have Ford.
I need us to go to that. I think that Lens game caught us off guard because we didn't expect that atmosphere. But I had it from the first minute. I was like, yeah, it's going to be tough. But we don't want to go to PSV, the final game of the group, needing to win. That will be terrible. Yeah. So by the time we go to PSV, we need to be already through. So hopefully the next game against Sevilla, we don't lose, and then we beat Sevilla at home and beat Lens at home. I think the picture would look good. And the other teams keep drawing. I think that would benefit us.
I think Lens, Apollo, having not played in the Champions League, I think it's 20 or 21 years that they haven't been in the Champions League. The excitement, obviously, playing at home against an Arsenal team, obviously gave them that hype. But I'm sure they not gonna continue with that form. I'm hoping at least. But going to Sevilla. I remember we went there to in the Europa League, and we didn't do too well there either. So yeah, I'm just seeing some trend of the Europa League in Arsenal's now. Apollo.
Yeah, I think that the whole Champions League thing, I personally don't think that the Arsenal fans are ready for that. Simply because the competition is so tough, and for some reason we feel like we're going to waltz in there and just destroy the competition when we found the Europa extremely hard. Now there is an intangible in there. The intangible is that we never really played our strongest teams in the Europa. We always played reserve players. So there is that.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is playing the best teams constantly, twice a week, Premier League and Champions League, we don't know what that's going to do to our players. Now, the good thing is we know we got a good squad, but we also know Arteta's weakness is rotation. So we have a lot of undecided factors here that can draw all these different narratives into how it's going to play out. And unfortunately, guys, we are entering the unknown. There is no way that we can understand and see how Arteta will continue to keep the players fresh. There is no way that we can dictate the level of the competition, because this is the creme de la creme. This is the upper echelon of European football. We call it world football because it pretty much dictates which is the best team in the world. So for me, I always go into it, and you hear me when I do my previews and stuff like that. I never go into it big-headed thinking we're going to blow any team away. I have full respect for our opponents and what they've done and what they've achieved. Because remember, guys, these guys are teams that have either won their league or come second or whatever in their leagues, which means that they are pretty good teams. That being said, the expectations for Arsenal, because of what they've achieved, they should have won the Premier League last year if it wasn't for injuries and then Man City coming up at the rear end. I still believe if we had Saliba fit, we would have won the league. I still believe that. But it's going to be ultra tough. And I think that the next few games and the results, I think they're going to surprise Arsenal fans. I really do.
So looking at the goals difference, we've got the best goal difference in that group. We've scored 4 against PSV, obviously, and a clean sheet. And yeah, we've conceded 1 and scored conceded 2 and scored 1. So our goal difference there. So that means there is some positivity there. I'm hoping. Obviously, I'm trying to look at all aspects of the Champions League, but rightfully so, as you've mentioned, the team that we've played in the Europa League and the team is playing now, seeing Partey fit, seeing Saka fit, seeing Martinelli. I think Martinelli was also unfit. So hopefully those are the positives that we're going to have to look at and see what they're going to bring to the team in the Champions League, obviously.
The thing with
Yeah.
the Champions League is they actually do look at head to head before goal difference. So let's say Sevilla finished top and Arsenal finished second and Lens third, and we don't beat them at home, and then we end up like on the same points and you have a better goal difference. Lens would actually go through because they beat us in one of the games. So the
Yeah.
Champions League is
No.
really tricky, but hopefully we don't have to turn to that.
What I refer to is that we're scoring a lot of goals in
Yes,
there,
scoring, yeah.
so
Yeah.
we really can score goals. So that is not a problem. The problem is how are we seeing off the teams. That is basically, yeah. But you're right. You're right in
Yeah.
saying that. So our next this is purely the group stages. Is not a big segment there, but our next segment is purely going to be
Chelsea.
and
Right, before we go into that, let me see if I can share this. This is the VAR table. Not last season, this season before that. Oh, I don't think I can get it in there. I tried to share the screen on it and it didn't come up.
Oh yeah, is it? Yeah, I can put it up there.
Oh, good, yes. So this was the season before when we missed out on top 4 with Tottenham. Yeah, when Tottenham took it off us by about a point. This would have been the table at that stage a month before the end of the season, when I think it was Partey that got injured, Tierney that got injured. We had quite a few players out, and we was hanging on by the tail of our skin. We lost to Newcastle, we lost to Spurs, but this would have been the table at that point. Without VAR, if you took VAR out of it, this was the amount of stuff that was overturned where Arsenal, it didn't favour us. And you can see here, we were top by a clear 6 points. Isn't that strange?
That's massive.
So we were the one that was affected the most. These figures, guys, are taken from ESPN. So it's not no Dega website that we've got these from. But you can see we have sadly poorly missed out due to what's been going on. But this has nothing to do with the technology, guys. Let's not get it twisted. This is down to the officials. It's down to the officials. And if you go to the Emirates, you can see it almost feels like there's a clear bias against us because some of the things that we've had to go through.
So if what you're saying, if VAR gave us the decisions that was rightfully ours, we would have won the league.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, that's a lot of points. Yeah.
Instead, we finished 5th and we didn't even make the Champions League.
Sure. That's a lot of points and also a lot of mistakes. And I just want to put this out. VAR cannot overrule the second. Yeah, Emerson, we suggested that maybe they should look at VAR to at least have a say in it, probably not overturn it, but refer the on-field referee to the monitor and say, go have a look at it again, that sort of thing. All right, so let's get into this quickly. Let's look at our next game is obviously Chelsea and Arsenal come weekend. Is it Saturday? I think. Yeah. Saturday. It's not the first game, is it? I can't remember what time it is. But yeah.
Good question. It's at Stamford Bridge, so I'll be streaming that one, guys.
We are away. Yes, we are away.
4 of our next 5 games are away.
It's 5:30. That's the evening game.
Okay, so it's a late game.
Yeah, it's a late game.
All right, cool. That's nice. gives me time to also set up for the rugby as well. The rugby against England. All right, so the last 5 meetings with Chelsea, we only lost once against Chelsea in the last 5 meetings. Chelsea's
So
obviously sorry, Apollo, go for it. I won't
no, no,
forget what I
no,
want to
no,
say.
no. Go on, go on. You do the intro. You do the intro.
Chelsea, as obviously gotten a couple of new players. They've sold a couple of players, and they are looking exciting. However, they can't just finish off. But now the last 2 games, they've had victories, especially coming into the international break, and now obviously into the Arsenal game. Do we see the trend continuing in our favor? Apollo, let's go with you.
Yeah. So first of all, it's going to be a harder game than what everybody thought, simply because they've scored 6 goals in the last 2 games. They went through a stretch in 3 games where they couldn't even hit the back of the net. Um, Granted, a lot of you would be saying that it was against Burnley and Fulham, and you'll probably have a good reason for that, and a reason that I agree with. So Arsenal would be a much stiffer competition. They're going to be facing a team in Arsenal that's got the best defense in the league, and 6 goals we've let in 8 games. Only Manchester City can boast the same. And remember, guys, 3 of those goals, half of the 6 goals were because Saka, Havertz, and Jorginho gave the ball away and caused all of that. Something we didn't really see last season. And then
Yeah.
obviously we talked about the Fulham first goal where Odegaard was fouled. So if you account for 3 or 4 of those 6 goals, Arsenal have been playing magnificent in defence. Magnificent. And we've played, mind you, Man United, Spurs, Man City, and that's the record that we have. So I think Chelsea are going to find it extremely difficult against us. That being said, they'll have a lot of confidence because their strikers look like they're on it now. But I just don't think that they've got enough to trouble Saliba and Gabriel at the back. And I think with Thomas Partey back now, whether he plays in a midfield role or an inverted dynamic role, which I don't think he will, either way, Arsenal, I think, is going to be too much for him. I think it's going to be a 2-1 Arsenal win, but it's going to be tough. It's not going to be as easy as everybody thought it would.
So you say 2-1. I didn't expect you to give that now, but let's put it in there anyway. um, Glenn, Mudrik. There's a lot of things. I mean, you yourself obviously had a lot of videos made about Mudrik. There was a tweet that's gone out, and a Arsenal fan has taken a selfie with Mudrik, and then he asked him. No, then he said, "Why had you go to Chelsea?" If the turns were the table were turned, do you think you would have had an impact in an Arsenal shirt by now?
I think he would. I think he joined a team that was very low in confidence, and I think since he joined, they've had like 3 or 4, I think, managers or something like that. So Lampard and Potter, and now obviously Pochettino. They've gone through a lot of managers since he joined, so he's not really had a settled camp. So I think at Arsenal, he would have had a settled camp, and obviously we've had a few injuries here and there, so I think he definitely would have got game time. But for me, would have loved to change the whatever happened, the situation. No, because I think we landed with Trossard, and he's been a very good signing at only 20 something million. So I think I am happy with how it ended. But I do think if he had joined Arsenal, yes, he would have hit the ground running because he would have joined a settled camp. Maybe even helped us to win the league. Who knows?
Sure, that would be cool. And then in terms of their play, I mean, they seem excited, but they still don't gel yet. And do you think with a Rice, Partey, and Odegaard midfield against a Gallagher, Casado, and what's the other name, Enzo, the three of
yeah.
them, that's a midfield sort of battle, the stronger of the two?
That's us. We're much more physical.
Yeah, much more physical. I've seen some combined 11s. I have seen some combined 11s going on X, and they're actually putting Enzo, and they're actually managing to put two Chelsea midfielders there. And I'm like, what? People are still disrespecting players like Partey. People are still disrespecting players like Ben White and all that. But I think for me, if you had to ask me right now, no disrespect, if I'd want a Chelsea player to come and replace an Arsenal player right now, I'd say no. I don't think there's anyone. Like, people are putting James ahead of White, for example. I'm like, nah, Ben White is really good. So for me, I think yes, they have played well recently up against Burnley, as Apollo said, and against Fulham. I watched both games, and against Fulham, yeah, they played really well in the first half. But against Burnley, you can ask Chelsea fans as well. Against Burnley, the first half would have been a lot different. And I do think, if they afford us that kind of space and those number of opportunities in the first half, I don't think we'd finish the first half with 0 goals. If they give us 6 to 7 chances like they did with Burnley. So I think this is a case of, I don't want this game to be close. Yes, it could end up being close because they're confident now. Stamford Bridge is still Stamford Bridge. Yes, we've won there 3 times in a row. I think we've not lost there since 2018. I think that was Emery's first season or something. That's the last time we lost there. But since then, we are very good away from home. Our record against them is very good recently. We are coming to this game after having beaten Man City. Yes, they're also coming into this game high on confidence. So I would be disappointed if we beat Man City and then the very next game we lost to Chelsea. It would be disappointing because we need to capitalize on that win against Man City, win back-to-back games, and all of a sudden our next few games you're playing Sheffield United, Burnley, and then Newcastle away will be tough. You can take advantage of that. So I think it will be tough. I agree with Apollo, but I'm hoping we don't let them have a lot of shots, and that is what we've been doing this season. We've not been allowing teams to have shots, teams are having 1 or 2 shots against us. We're really controlling the game better. But since they are on confident form and they've been scoring goals, I'm going to give them 1 goal, and I'm going to say 3 goals for Arsenal, 3-1. I can see it being 2-1 for most of the game, and then we're going to kill off the game later on. So 3-1.
3-1. You're very hungry on the goals there.
Yeah. And you go for more because we've beaten them 1-0 a couple of times, and then there was a 4-2. So I'm going for that kind of a 4-2, but less goals.
Yeah, I'm gonna go for a clean sheet because we need clean sheets away. So yeah, I'm gonna go for a 2-0 to that game because purely I think we have more quality than them. Although our defense is going to probably be very busy. I don't think they're going to have a lot of shots at goal because of Saliba and Gabriel and also Rice in front of them. Do you think Rice should play in the 8 or should he stay in the 6?
I'd put him in the 8. I'd put Partey in the 6 for this particular game. Even the Sevilla one, I'd have both of them in midfield. I think we need that. We need to bully them in midfield. Remember, over the years, for 20 years, or let's say 10 years after our Invincibles team and the likes of Thierry Henry and Vieira left, that period between 2006 and 2016, they used to bully us, like Drogba. I remember Drogba badging Kieran Gibbs, midfield, Lampard kicking
Koscielny and all those guys.
Being bullied by Hazard, Diego Costa bullying the older Gabriel. So yeah, we don't. These days, we're the ones who can bully them, and I want us to bully them with Partey there and Rice there. And Rice is very good going forward, according to me, and Odegaard as well. Then you have the options of bringing other players on the bench. If Havertz is to start, depends on how Saka is. I don't know if he's going to be fit. If he's not, if Havertz is going to start, I'll start him up front and Jesus on the right. But let's see. But I think we'd still win. I can see it being 2-1 for most of the game, and then maybe the third goal later on.
Yeah. So I think the way he played against City, the same the middle there, except for Jorginho. He played Jorginho with Partey. But I'm also having to think that Jorginho probably will start this game as well. Just to give them a bit of an edge, to give Rice that free zone operating as he did against City. But yeah, so I think 2-0 is suffice for a clean sheet for Raya. Or do you think Raya is going to be in there or Ramsdale is going to be in there?
I've already lost that battle, unfortunately. I think Raya is going to be. I've already, I already stopped thinking about that over the last few games since we started the Tottenham game and the Man City game. I've already lost that one, so I think Raya will start both of them. Although I still like to see Ramsdale playing one Champions League game, but as we've just said, Glenwin, we're in a tough situation in the Champions League, so you need like our fast team there. So I will go for 3-1. Then hopefully Raya does start and keep a clean sheet, as you've said. And I didn't say who was going to score that goal. Havertz.
Havertz.
I'd
Okay.
love that. I'd love
So
that.
I just want to know what's your thoughts of Raya, because obviously you've come from a very different side. I mean, we all love Ramsdale, but I know you were ultra passionate. So what's your assessment of Raya so far?
I mean, I have looked at the stats. I have looked at his kicking ability, especially the Bournemouth game, the 4-0 win. Rare, like people say the goalkeeper doesn't matter, but the way he was helping us create attacks by that just one pass. Yes, I don't think Ramsdale has done that a lot. In terms of shot stopping, Ramsdale is very good, but in terms of controlling possession, yes, he made mistakes against Lons, but I do still think he's very good in terms of the kicking and the aerial duels and the corner kicks and the free kicks. I think he handles it better.
Yeah.
I'm still in a position where whether you see Ramsdale or Ray, I'm not really bothered, but I do think Raya is a very good goalkeeper. So I have lost that battle, Apollo. So I've said, yeah, you know what? It's fine. Raya is playing well, so let him be. So I don't agree with people saying, yeah, Raya has not been playing well, bring back Ramsdale. No, he has. It was just one mistake against Lons. And yeah, I know the Man City game was shaky, but as I said, is the one who asked him to play that way. So I have no problem with that. Sometimes you have to take the risks. 20% of the time it's going to cost you, but 80% is going to work. So I'm fine with that.
You can't beat them, join them, eh, Glenn?
Yeah. And I'm not really joining the enemy side. It's still part of my side, but I'm going to take it.
Yeah. Apollo, Cam, I think Cam is your guy. He says the midfield hasn't been good this season. Literally everything is on rise, really. And least up until City when he got some help. Them thinking they can win a midfield battle against us isn't that crazy. So, I mean, you said it already that we are the stronger midfield. But where can they sort of get a loophole in our midfield?
I think for me, the key is Pochettino. It's Pochettino, right? So we know what he's like because we had years of him at Spurs. And so for us, the key thing is to stop their desire to create turnovers. They're going to try and rush us. They're going to try and get us to make mistakes. Arsenal have shown a level of press resistance. They have shown a level of it, especially with Raya now. We are very difficult to take out of our game. We've got all the guns in there now. Zinchenko's in there. We've got guys who are comfortable on the ball. We've got Raya, who's your sweeper and your extra defender as well. So it's definitely. I haven't seen many teams force Arsenal into errors in the back four. You know, we saw what happened with the City game, and that was a game of chess. We came out on top, but I think for us, we've got to stop their desire to create turnovers. To start quick transitions, because that's Chelsea. What Chelsea do, they try and rush at you, they try and get the ball quickly and then score off that. If that doesn't work for them, then they're left hanging and their midfield's exposed. So we've got to sort of limit their ability to create those moments for me, and don't give them any mistakes, which we've seen us do 3 times already this season. Don't do it here. Luckily for me, the mistakes have only come at home. When we've been away, we've been impeccable defensively in the midfield. And I think, will it be a record if we had 5 away clean sheets in a row? I think it will. I have to go and check that. But I know we had 10 clean sheets away from home last season. But so far this season, we haven't let a goal in 4 games. So 5 games in a row with a clean sheet away, that would be incredible, guys. I don't think people understand how good that actually is. Just not allowing a team in something like 360 minutes to even score a goal. I mean, that's absolute madness. It's crazy. So, I went for 2-1, but if Arsenal carry on their form the way they are, Chelsea won't score against us.
Surely they won't.
Yeah, somebody made a shout out to my cousin out there.
Cam, I saw that now.
Yeah, and remember,
what league is that? League 64?
No, it's the Mount 64. So he's created the most progressive passes in the Premier League with 64.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right.
And remember, guys, he's not my cousin by blood. He's married. Raheem Sterling's married to my cousin Paige, so that's why.
Okay.
So he's my cousin through marriage, not through blood.
He's definitely not going to be part of the family this weekend either way.
No, that's
So
no, definitely not.
I do think we need to watch out for him, though. He's the one person I think we definitely need to watch out for. Whichever wing he's playing, whether it's Ben White or Zinchenko or Tomiyasu, I think we need to watch out for him. He's been on top form recently.
He's
I
a
think
big Arsenal fan. He's from Wembley, remember? He's from my hometown. He's from Wembley. He's another Wembley boy.
I think he'll probably start on the left wing because he's more effective from there. Because I mean, the 4 goals that he was involved in against what's the name came
Burnley.
from that side. So
So I got some
Ben
good
White-
news for you, Glenn Wynn. Saliba will be on that side, and Saliba hasn't been passed this season yet. So
What a defender, man. What a defender.
he's a great guy. I really think he's a great guy. Yeah, before we go to the Sevilla games predictions, tight match with Chelsea 2-2. Ooh, draw. Cam agrees with me, and then of course, okay, so you had a PC issue there. Evening, Alex. You should be worried about your other chat you have there, your meeting. Apollo, just one thing. Arteta against Pochettino. There's not much of a sort of game, a battle between the two, but Poch being a more experienced manager than Arteta, do you think from a manager's perspective, Arteta edge him?
well, we've seen from last season how much influence Arteta's philosophy is, and obviously you take the intangibles out with the injuries and all of that. Just by managing and perfecting a system to make it work, I think he's ahead of Pochettino in that regard. But obviously, Arteta has other different management things that he's got to pick up on, and that's where he'll become better as it goes on. But I honestly think that when I look at Pochettino, you know what you're getting with him. He's a steady guy. He's brash. He likes to get his players to be expressive. Arteta's not like that. Arteta is in a tight unit, likes to have his players working under the same umbrella. You can't express yourself in Arteta's system because if you do that, you'll expose the other 10 players. So you have to be under that tight lip. You've got to be in line for everything to work. And the good news is our team's done that. In terms of his instructions, they follow them to the hilt. We are a well-oiled army unit. That's what we are under Arteta. Some fans don't like it because it's too dictatorial, but that's what brings you the success. If you tried this with any other team, it just wouldn't work. Let me give you one example. So Arsene Wenger never really had much tactics in his game. He let the players be free to express themselves. And if you look at the likes of Alexis Sanchez wasn't a systems player. He was all over the place. He was like the Tasmanian devil, just whizzing all around, doing what he needed to do. He actually lost possession more times than anyone on our team because, you know, you're waiting for that moment and magic, which he always produced a rabbit out of his hat. And that's what offset the amount of times he lost possession. But when he went to Manchester United and they saw what he was doing and like, no, you have to play this way, but I can't. I'm Alexis Sanchez. I have to express myself. Sorry, we don't do that at Man United. And he was on the bench. So that's the difference between having someone like Arteta and Pochettino. Arteta, just the way he has his system, and you could say it's more like Pep than it is like Wenger. There's things that Arteta's taken from both and molded it into his own philosophies. But the Pep thing is definitely the militarian way of how the team runs. You have to be military, precise down to the unit in order for our system to work. And Chelsea are not like that. Chelsea are not run like that.
Based on this comment, Glenn, Pochettino hasn't changed. He hasn't reduced more position and play to his system, but he still looks to rely on the high press for turnovers in the opposition build-up as seen against Fulham recently. But with that, Raya has to obviously look at how especially the likes of a Mudrik with pace, a Apollo's cousin with pace. Those are the type of guys he has to look out for, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. And the runners like Gallagher in midfield is always everywhere and closing down, and he never gets side and all that. I'm not really worried about how they're going to play, really. I'm worried about how you're going to play. If we execute how you're going to play, I think we win the game. Obviously, in terms of managers, we've been speaking with Apollo. Pochettino is more experienced. Like, he's been in the Premier League as a manager more. He's been in a Champions League final. He's been in a Carabao Cup final, a couple of finals. He's been in France over PSG. Actually used to play for the same team at 10 Pochettino back in their playing days. They played for PSG at the same time. So they kind of grew up together. But I'm not really worried about how they're going to play, really. Yes, we have to obviously watch out for a couple of players like Sterling and all that. But I think if we execute our plan, score a goal early, make them change their plan for the game, all that, I think they're still not at their best because I still think they're depending on the likes of Nkunku to come back to execute all that more. So I'm not saying we're going to beat them because they're missing players. They're obviously missing players as well. But yes, let's just go out there. Let's not underestimate them. Let's play our game, and I think we'll win. Let's not focus too much on what they're going to do.
Great stuff. Now we're going to the Sevilla. We obviously spoke of the UEFA Champions League, but just for the sake of predictions, Apollo, your predictions, Sevilla against Arsenal.
So this is going to be a really interesting team because I've talked to you about how tough the Champions League. Sevilla got a fantastic record in Europe. But I actually think that this game is going to be a 2-0 Arsenal win. Now, the reason why I'm saying that is because if you guys have already heard the news, Sevilla sacked another manager last week. That's their third manager in a year. So I think that this team is going to be in disarray. I think that, they've started the Champions League with back-to-back draws, which is something that wasn't really expected from Sevilla. Sevilla was supposed to be the team that would challenge Arsenal for the top, and they may well put in a good decisions, but a good performance. But they do pose an impressive record against English teams. I think they've, out of 10 games, they've only lost 3 times. I remember them beating Man United 3-0 as well in the quarterfinals. So I think, for me, it would be a tight game at first, but I think their lack of cohesiveness, their lack of manager, I think is gonna cause some problems, because it would be a team. And again, we just talked about Pochettino and Arteta, managers, how important they are to the way you play, to the way you organize, the philosophies. If you cut the head off the snake, as they would say, then I think that you end up with a team in disarray. And I just think that they are not going to be mentally ready for this game against Arsenal. And we all know Arsenal, what they do away from home, and how they have to redeem that game they lost against Lens.
Glenn, your prediction is going to be based on obviously your thoughts, but Apollo said that another manager has been sacked. So there is a myth, the new manager's myth. Will that be a factor?
We have suffered that against Everton last season, and they appointed Sean Dyche. So there's always that. I think we kind of have to see how they do this weekend with their new manager first. But then again, there's always that new manager bounce, for sure. But we can't really look at that, man. Like, this is a very important game. I don't think it's going to be as easy. Actually, it's weird because Apollo has predicted this game to be slightly easier than the Chelsea game, but I'm actually going the opposite. I think the Chelsea, when you're going to win by 3-1, but this one against Sevilla, they have a striker called En-Nesyri. I think the Moroccan is very good in terms of aerial balls.
He is,
now, we have Gabriel and Saliba, yes, but they're very good in terms of those corners and free kicks and everything. And I think they're going to get, unfortunately, we are going to concede in this game again. Glenn, they're going to score 1 goal. I can actually see them scoring fast, probably, or maybe us scoring fast and then them equalizing, and we're going to need a very late goal here to win the game. So I'm going to go for a 2-1 win. I think it's going to be very, very tough, this one. If you can get a couple of early goals and quiet down the crowd, well and good. But hopefully, a couple of seasons ago, we went to Valencia, won comfortably. We went to Villarreal, I think, drew a few years ago as well. So let's hope we keep kind of those that record going, and hopefully can win this. It's a must-win game, I think, or must not lose.
Yeah, I'm going for a very small margin. It's very small margins. It's 1-0 for me. Again, I like to go away and have a clean sheet. And I'm thinking one odd goal is going to be something that we're going to have to see over the line. Is that
I'll take your
1-0?
predictions. I'll take your predictions over ours. 2 clean sheets back to back. Yes, please.
Yeah, no, I need to get some confidence in Raya. I need really to get confidence in Raya, and that clean sheets will probably help me get that. All right, I think we've come to a bit of an end here. Where Marcus? Here we go. Let's just get that out of the way. Another tough match way Sevilla 2-2. Emerson, you like the draws, yeah? Emerson like the draws. There's one thing, Apollo, that I want to just mention is where's that? Let me just see. Where's that slide? Ah, here we go. Here we go. This was the Tuesday night show with me and Seema, and we touched on the ladies. What a comeback! Just quickly, it was a very, very well played game by the ladies.
It was.
Have you watched the game?
I have. I actually didn't think that they played well. I thought that in the towards the end of the game, that they stepped up. But there's definitely a fundamental problem that they have in the team. They're not having a good run to the season. But I made some comments in the forum today. Those of you who are already on 101's forum, especially Emerson, because I was talking to him on the forum as well. I think it's more of the other teams catching Arsenal up and Chelsea to an extent, rather than Arsenal and Chelsea having sort of shaky starts. I just think that what we've seen with international football over the years, where a lot of smaller countries have become really good because they've just understood the way that the modern game is played. That's happening in women's football. Women's football is having a renaissance now, where there's going to be a lot of good teams because a lot of players in the World Cup have gone to various outfits. And I think, I'm not proud of it, but I think that the girls are going to struggle this season
because one of the calmer persons or players in that team is still not back yet. That's Leah Williamson.
Yeah.
What a calm player. She's like a hawk looking from back to see how the pitch is growing in front of her, and she's very calm on the ball and how she sort of composes herself and the guys next to her. That's a big miss for Arsenal ladies. But well done. It was a very good comeback from their side. I mean, they were behind for most of the game. And I'm seeing that Iseveld, how do you pronounce his name? Iseveld? Iseveld has got a big task on him to keep those ladies motivated. So yeah, we come to an end, guys. Obviously we said trying to keep it within the hour, and we've managed to go 7 minutes over. But one thing that I want to end off with is to PGMOL and Howard Webb is to give them a red card and say there's no foul play in the Premier League, man. They need to get it right. Really, they have to get it right. So that is my red card to them. So again, almost said Kozi. Glenn, your last words, and thank you once again for being part of the back five.
Absolutely no problem. Thank you for always having me. Hopefully, from the men's team keeps on going the way it is, and the women's team keeps on going the way it is as well. I'm happy. Beth Mead is back as well. Let's hope the combination of them, let's say Russo up front works. Let's hope Saka is back as well in the combination with Martinelli and Jesus to get it back as well. Our captains, hopefully Leah Williamson comes back and Odegaard. Some people have been saying Odegaard hasn't been performing every single game, a couple of games here and there. Hopefully everyone is at their best after the international break, and obviously the women's team as well. So I'm happy. I'm actually happy as an Arsenal fan where we are right now. So let's see. Let's hope it continues.
Apollo, as always, the man of stats.
Yeah, good to see you guys again. Always a pleasure, Glenn and Glenwyn. And I love talking Arsenal with you guys. And it's just, I wish I could do it more. But, guys, where I am with my lungs, and I just have to take it as easy as I can. But yeah, look, I'm looking forward. There's a lot of big games coming up now. The Champions League is hugely important because if we lose that, we're going to start to slip down, and we're going to start to then look at Arsenal maybe needing desperate wins in order to get out of that division. So it's not going to be easy. And then the Premier League, we're now going neck and neck with Spurs, and Spurs have an easier running than we do in the next 6 games. Man City actually has the hardest running. We looked at that when I did my stream last week. And so for that, guys, it's going to be a tough few weeks ahead, man. It really is.
Come on, you Gunners. Come on, you Gunners. And as for me, Glenwyn from Guna Matters. Thank you, Apollo from 101 on Arsenal. Glenn Kitely from All Things Arsenal. Thanks again for those guys that's in the chat. Please, again, the 27th of this month, then we have, not the 27th, the 30th of this month, we have another stream. And hopefully Vinci and Kozi can join us again on that Monday night. Without any further ado, this was Cannon Fodder. And also the guys, go there to Glenn Kitely, Everything Arsenal, and obviously Apollo 101 at Arsenal. Go look at their content, good content. I've checked Kozi and Glenn the other day. Very, very, very good stream there. Yeah. So guys, all the best, and thank you for your time and your support.
Brilliant. All right, guys.